All right, gonna do a trade recap for Friday, September 26th. Looking at the pre-market structure was not extremely clear to me. We're kind of balancing out, kind of rallying after some downside movements. So it's kind of a day where you have to react to what the market does, see what happens, and go from there. But a few watches that I had were coming off of this chart, which the levels are a bit more clean. First, I was watching for if we could hold above this 6674, 6680 level. The 80 comes from right here. So we've got 7.4 coming from that yesterday high and this pre-market resistance, and then 80 has been a key level. Is previously resistance, resistance, support, support. So yeah, that kind of general area I was looking to watch for if price could possibly hold that area, hold a dip, to possibly get in long, looking for a break of this pre-market high 6,690 into 6,700. That was one of my main watches. And then to the downside, I was also watching the 6654 level. If we bounced here, I would be willing to try longs. And then I was also kind of watching the line of least resistance play here, where if price did break and hold below here's resistance, I thought we could easily test at least these lows. Um, yeah, you can see the market opened up down a little bit in this zone, but it had just a crazy rally off of whatever 6670. Just I mean straight buying it open. Like sold off a little bit, and 931 comes around, just straight buying. You can see this bid kind of breaks off and then reloads, and just I mean it's so aggressive. I got so much FOMO in here, because I was just begging the market for a pullback to get in long, and eventually we do get a pullback. This at 935 is the first real aggression I see come in, and then we kind of hold this bid right here at 6685, and this really isn't at a crazy key location for me right here. Ideally, I'd like to see a little bit more pullback, but with how aggressive this opened up, um, and the bid holding here, I went ahead and jumped in. Yes, there's definitely a little bit of FOMO there, but I knew going into it was slightly lower probability, but it also there was a good chance that it just kept flying, just kept ripping, and I would have been pissed if I missed this pullback. And then price, was up 10, 20 points within 5 minutes, which didn't happen, but it could happen. But I end up getting stopped out of that trade, which I'm fine with. Of course, it got taken to the exact tick, which I'll show you later. Got stopped out at 6683, which is exactly how far the market came down here. Um, and then this entry was a lot better, in terms of actual confirmation and order flow. You can see this heavy bid sitting here right above our key level, the 6680, showing possible passive buyers there, and the passive buyers did exactly what buyers do. They supported this move by first defending against the selling. You see the selling got kind of absorbed down here in this bid, but then this aggressive buying comes in thereafter, and I went ahead and got back in at right around in here, 85.75. Got some run up, tested my entry level, got some more run up. I think that's when I got all out. No, I wasn't out yet then. Then on this move is where I start getting out. Um, and then we got that insanely aggressive dumper. 10 points just instantly right back into that zone. Or I guess level, I should say, the 8-2 level, which held, and rallied from there. We'll get into my actual entries and exits. It's pretty interesting, actually. So, getting my long here, stopped out. You can see the exact tick. This candle went down to the 8 threes. You can see it right up here. Look up there now. 8.3 is the low. But I get back in. And then on this exit, I got really lucky because I accidentally got out my full position when I only meant to get out half, and that other half would have most likely been hit at break even, and then for it to rally to a new high and piss me off. So here's what happened. This 93.75 was the limit. That's 2R, but these two right here at 9.2, I was going to trail my stop loss, half of my stop loss, to just below break even, due to the fact that we had broken this pre-market high. That's when I wanted to reduce my risk. And somewhere within trying to place that stop order, I either typed in the wrong price or I didn't have a stop order. Maybe it was a limit, but those just got taken instantly as soon as I tried to put in the stop. And then a few seconds later, my 2R thing hits, 2R target hits, and I'm all out of this trade. And I'm getting pissed because I'm like, dude, it's going to shoot up to 600-700 right after I get out. But then that happens, and yeah, it's definitely mad I made that mistake, but like I got really lucky with it today. Sometimes that stuff happens in the market, but yeah, kind of interesting to see here going forward if this 600-700 is going to reject. So far, I mean, it's rejected pretty hard there, not as hard there, and then we broke above, and that's a pretty hard rejection. So we'll see if sellers can kind of defend this area and get another push to the downside, or if buyers want to go ahead and take control back. But it's not our job to predict, it's our job to react. So that's all for today. We'll be back Monday, hopefully. All right, this is an unexpected update to this video. So basically the market sold off. There was a nice move from the 66.80s down into the 66.60s, kind of another line of least resistance play, similar to the one I was talking about watching below the 66.60. And since we were kind of like the chop that this was coming into from looking left compared to like looking left below this level, it's more fluid price. That's kind of what held me back from taking this line of least resistance play, and you can see that chop right in there. But regardless, it worked out perfectly. There was really good confirmation. We broke this level with super aggressive selling and then retested. And then on this retest, buying was weaker than it was on this retest. And there was an offer sitting here for some really nice confirmation, but I wasn't even watching that at the time. But looking back at it, good to learn from, and maybe a little bit of FOMO there. And then this is where I really got some FOMO. I was eating breakfast, getting ready for the gym in this area. I get back to my setup. Price is bouncing off of this res level, and a good setup here could be a higher low. If there is, or sorry, I said res. It was previous res. Now it's just a key level. But strong buying off that level is a time when you can kind of look for a higher low. Don't exactly know why I wasn't confident taking this, but there was a very nice setup right there, right into this high, which that kind of sparked a little bit of FOMO, but also I wanted to be around for another possible move in the market. I've been getting off earlier, normally just recently when we were at these all-time highs, but now that price is back in this range, like just any of this range down here, there can be a lot more opportunities. There's, regardless of time of day or whatever, there's still price levels that have sellers and buyers at them, and the volume might be lower, but as long as there's moderate volume, you can catch good moves, just based on your levels. So I missed that, and then I kind of pulled everything back up, and I was basically watching the reaction at this level. I was first kind of watching to see if this strength could continue, break above this level, bounce, and hold. But I was also watching to see if this level would reject first, for multiple reasons. First of all, it did on this break in line of least resistance after it had been supported a few times today. So that clearly shows that this is still a key level. And it was very important for this, I guess, the sellers to defend it that were able to sell off of 600-700 and then break 6680 into the 6660. So now this is kind of an important level for those sellers that came in up here to see if they're going to defend. On top of that being a key level, price was now balancing out, possibly testing this high again. And in balanced conditions, that is a rule of thumb, reverse the extremes. So that adds a little bit of contextual confluence to this. I'm not going to label this setup as a balance high reversal. I am going to view this as just like a short reversal or a top reversal on key level holding. Just because this is very technical and this gets into journaling and stuff, but just the way that this is set up, that's how I'm going to be. That's just the way I was looking at this and the way I'm going to journal it. I'm yapping way too much. It's supposed to be quick. All right. So you can see we rallied up into here around 11:30. Strong bind. And the bind starts to slow down a bit. Selling comes in. Weaker buying attempt. And then I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got in on this dump right here at 6676. I just need to make sure that would be it. Yeah, it's exactly where I got in, and it should have been because that's where the confirmation came. So, looking for a possible reversal at the setup. Aggressive buying into it, selling comes off of it. That shows there's still possible sellers. We see this buying get weaker than it did on the first attempt. It's kind of hard to see right now. It's getting like distorted. All right, that's the best we're going to see it. See how these buying bubbles are bigger than these buying bubbles? And then aggressive selling starts to come in right here. I mean, that's looking very aggressive. I get in right here at 76.5. Stop 4 points at 80.5 above this offer, above this key level. And for like trade management, the first zone I'm looking for is just to break and test this kind of midpoint of the balance, this little balance that we're in. Can see, first of all, midpoints of balances are like areas of concern in general, and then you can see it's been respected. So pulling up this, I got in short there at 76, got out 2 lots on this push into this target zone. This was unfortunately hit on a trailing stop. Had one stop at break even, one stop trailing at like 1R area. Or that's less than 1R, but around there. And then this, my final target was really a push into these lows, into the 60, 62 areas. But with how choppy this was and just being in this little balance, trailed this stop, and it was taken at 67. Still a nice little hit there. So ended up getting 1.59 R on that trade. Ending the day up 9.75 points, 2.34 R. 2 wins, 1 loss. Both of the wins were nothing crazy. This had one contract pretty much hit break even, and then 2 contracts on this were cut early. However, I should say if they weren't cut early up there, I would have actually resulted in break even stop and less points. So yeah, now that's definitely it for the day. Yeah, we'll be back. Peace.